I never thought I'd see myself doing a little bit of a review of a television series. But I figured that this was kind of appropriate because this show has been a little bit on my interest radar for quite some time. Because almost every time I go on social media, this particular show has been literally blowing up my feed of all sorts of videos, photos, and so on and so forth of so many beloved characters from both seasons 1 and 2. And I want to focus on talking about season 1 right now, at least for a little bit for you folks, on my own talks and giving some sort of spoilers and my own take on Squid Game. Now, I've gone back, I've rewatched a lot of these episodes, binged watched them, how many times already, just so I can really give myself a proper thought to not only talk about the show, but also the fact that the more I've watched, the more I've really understood and really started to really like this universe due to the fact that this is something new and creative, that the fact the director of this show has been trying for so long, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, a decade to try and get this show on the air, at least give it the green light for Netflix to do. But once he was given the green light for this program, that this was going to be something new, fresh, innovative, this became a fucking worldwide smash hit. Now, it's not only because of what the story is and who the characters are, but it's overall the premise and different variety of characters who are in the game who are either leading or supporting that you've grown to not only love and support, but also understand their perspective why they are in Squid Game. So, as for what the story is, specifically for Season 1, and just the main purpose of what Squid Game is. Now, forgive me if I am butchering the names of said actor or character in this particular show. I can't speak Korean, and my pronunciation is going to be pretty bad. So please forgive me if I butcher the names badly, but I'm trying my best. So Ji Hwan, or Song Ji Hoon, who is played by Lee Jung Jae, who's a good-looking fucking guy. Now, this poor son of a bitch, he was known as Player 456 in the show, the iconic number, and the thing is that this guy, he is a gambler. He is basically upset. He doesn't have his wife. He doesn't have his kid with him. His mom is sick. And he's literally trying to get as much money as I can to literally try and support his ex-wife and his kid and his ailing mother. But at the same time, though, while I'm trying to do that, he's also trying to face the music of his gambling addiction. But he's got a bubbly personality. He's a fun guy. He's someone that who you can say is your buddy. But then all of a sudden, he ends up meeting a gentleman in the subway who sees that he is in debt and he's depressed and he's trying to get through his fucking life and all that stuff. So this fucking dude in the suit pulls out these two little squares, and they end up playing a little game. And the goal is to try and take either the blue or the red, smack it on the ground, and try and flip it. Sadly, Ji Hwan ends up losing multiple times. Instead of paying this dude with cash, he ends up slapping him multiple times. Once he beats him, the dude pays him a lot of money. Then he gives him a card with the PlayStation buttons on it, just like on here, where it is literally a circle, triangle, and a square. No X, but you got 3 out of the 4 PlayStation buttons on this little card. So he ends up learning about this little Squid Game thing contest that's going on, where it is 456 players. They're all taken in, and the thing is that you got to play at least 6 children's Korean games. Get through the games, the prize money not only goes up, but you will also win the grand prize either with somebody or the sole survivor of the Squid Game. But here's the thing, though, that Ji Hwan thought. When he came in, he was all smiles, he was happy and everything. But once they started playing red light, green light, yeah, that was where the story really started to take a turn. Not for the good, but for the worst. Because once they sign their life away of the contract, of the rules, basically they're literally not held responsible for what goes on due to the fact they literally sign their lives away, but also the fact that once they get killed, That's it. They're not only eliminated from the game, but the money, the piggy bank up in the sky grows a lot more, because the more money that more people die in this fucking show, the more money fucking grows. So this show really does get rough later on in terms of the episodes that you are given. And the thing is that as for the games itself, well, how can I say about these particular games? I already said the first one is literally red light, green light. This particular game is literally playing red light, green light, going from start to finish within the time that's given. If you fucking stop, you're dead. The door turns your head, you're fucking dead. So you literally got to freeze in place. The second game is called Dalgona. Now, as for what Dalgona is, this particular game is where you're given a little Korean snack. I believe the flavor is either coffee or it's honeycomb. Now, Dalgona is a popular Korean candy, and the goal is to where you're given this little circular disc, and you got to take the little needle and cut out the shape that you were given. Now, as for what the shapes were, you had a star, circle, a square, no, a star, circle, square, and I believe the last one was an umbrella. So, if I'm not mistaken, the game is a little bit more difficult than what it appears to be, because the umbrella is literally the hardest shape. And if you fail to get that out, well, you're fucking dead again. The third game is Tug of War. We all know what Tug of War is. You gather with your friends, and you basically try and see who you're going to pull in the mud. But instead of pulling in the mud, whoever they pull the strongest, you're basically falling off the fucking edge. The fourth game was Marbles. Now, you can play Marbles a whole different way. But in this case, though, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was about counting in different how many marbles you got to get to match an even number. That episode where they were playing marbles, I believe that was episode number 6. That, to me, was the hardest episode to watch, and I'll get to it. The next game, the fifth game, was Glass Bridge, where you got to cross a platform. 16 players left, cross the platform. Either it's left or right. And if you end up breaking it, well, you're fucking dead. And the last game was the self-titled Squid Game. Battle of Wits. So those were the 6 games that were played, and the thing is that Ji-hwan, it was literally getting worse and worse for him. It's not only because of his mood and how his character literally changes from developing from a fun, happy-go-lucky guy to where he's not only losing himself, he's literally losing his fucking sanity, his mentality. He's just going through a fucking breakthrough, because not only his best friend was in this particular show, who was player number 218, but also he also managed to grow a connection with Kang Se-byuk, who was player number 67, who was played by Jung Ho Yeon. Then he was also becoming a close connection with Oh Il Nam, who was played by Oh Young Soo, who was player number 1. He was also becoming friends with Ali Abdul, who was played by Anupam Tripathi. Forgive me. Who was player number 199, and he also had Jang Deok-soo, who was player number 109, and he was the bad guy in this fucking thing, who he literally was the fucking ruthless gangster in this. And then you also had Han Mi-yo, who was, well, she was a very manipulative, sadistic woman who was a cuckoo, crazy con artist, and she was going from a heel to a fucking trying to be a baby face, but that didn't necessarily work out very well. So there was literally a lot of characters that not only you starting to learn, but it was both on the good side and bad side of fucking Squid Game, but also trying to form alliances, team up to see exactly what will transpire. Now, the thing is that this wasn't the only story that was going on. There was another story where you start to learn about one of the workers in Squid Game, where you start to learn that he's actually someone who's taken in and who's also a cop, trying to learn exactly what this fucking Squid Game is and what is transpiring. And the thing is that you start to learn about the front man as well, about not only who he is, but also the fact that this fucking dude who created the Squid Game, you start to really understand. Hwang In-ho, he later ended up playing as player number 1 in season number 2, which will be At a later time, which we will talk about his portrayal, you start to learn who the front man is and the fact that who his brother is and how he's able to have all the skills that he has. But also, there is somewhat of a discussion as well of how he ends up becoming the front man, at least for a little bit. And the thing is that the fucking cop, the dude who was one of the one of the workers behind the scenes, you start to learn his story as well, how he managed to dive into the Squid Game, how he got into it, what his motive is, and how he wants to stop it, but he's trying to uncover the truths of Squid Game, not only who the former players were, but also the front man as well, who is his fucking brother. Literally, you got both the good and bad guy in this fucking program, which is crazy. So I like the side story that's going on between who the worker is and how he managed to get in, but also the fucking VIPs later on. Crazy sons of bitches, man. Crazy sons of bitches to be betting against these fucking players who are literally losing their sanity. It's this show itself is just, it's wild, and it really does take you on a fucking ride of emotions and connections that you later grow to not only love, but also the fact of how each of these fucking episodes itself is really a progression, not only within the story, but development of connections between both the good guys and the bad guys. Also, betrayals, the fucking games itself, how suspenseful and emotional it is. Episode number fucking 6, man, when they were playing fucking marbles, oh my god, man. You want to talk about either betrayal or just losing some beloved characters with some warm personalities that you just grew and loved, that you wanted to see survive later on. Oh my god, man. Crazy. That episode really just tugs at the heart right there. Goodness fucking gracious. But the thing is that once the show progresses, literally just later on, holy shit, man. But yeah, episode number 6, I can't even pronounce it properly at all. I think it was called Gangbu. That episode itself, like I said, crazy. Literally, this whole entire season 1 itself, it was literally a progression where you were starting off with something harmless, where you learn about who the main protagonist is, to later on where you see exactly what he got himself into, and how he's just fucking playing it. But yeah, season 1 itself, this was not only a breath of fresh air of a new concept, but also this was literally a fucking battle royale game brought into literally a realistic type premise where once you're fucking dead, you're dead. But instead of chasing each other or doing something, you're literally playing children's games. Legit children's games in order to fucking survive. So, I know it says movie review up here. It should say TV show reviewing, but you know what? I'm not going to bother fucking changing it. So, you all know this is a TV review, not a fucking movie review. But Squid Game Season 1, obviously the fucking main protagonist, especially in the final episode, One Lucky Day, where he learns exactly what happened to player number 1, and the fact that his illness was true, but the fact that he was literally behind it. And he said that what's fun watching it where I can just play the game and watch what's going on. Crazy. Fucking crazy. But yeah, Ji-hwan, his life literally fucking changed. Because not only did he lose his mother, he lost his best friend in fucking Battle of Wits Squid Game. He lost a friendship with a girl that he was liking, which is player number 67. Especially what happened to her. That she asked him to protect her brother once he gets out. And the final words were, "I want to go home." Jesus, God. And the fact that he was lied to about his connection with player number 1, realized that he was literally one of the guys behind what was happening with Squid Game. John, man, so much fucking shit was happening to Ji-hwan, not only during it, but also once he literally quit. I know he got his hair cut and he changed it to red to try and embrace somewhat of a rebirth for him. But the thing is that he ends up getting a fucking call. And he was supposed to board a flight, but in the end, he stopped himself from the flight, and that's right there the suspense happened, where you end up going to get yourself a season number 2. So, season number 1, like I said, this is a fucking roller coaster. There's literally so much shit to talk about with this fucking program, but just for time, I try to talk about so much I can. The premise is fresh. It's crazy. It's suspenseful. It's emotional. You got your personalities of characters that you grow to really like and dislike. You got a main story. You got a side story. The show itself is fucking wild, and season 1 is literally a beginning of a fucking revolutionary television show that not only became popular with fans within social media, but also turned into its own United States game show as well. So as for what I gave season number 1, I gave it a solid 9 out of 10. It's a fucking ride. The show is literally a ride. But as for what transpires in season number 2, well, it gets even crazier. So folks, that's going to have to really do it for my talk of season number 1 of Squid Game. For those out there who seen Squid Game, what was your favorite game of the first season? Who are your favorite characters besides the main one? Your favorite episode? And if you played some of the games from season number 1 in terms of like Tug of War, Red Light, Green Light, or Dalgona, let me know down below. So with that being said, folks, stay tuned for more shit to come as always. Ciao for now.